Hey everybody, AstroMommy here. So tomorrow is the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune. This conjunction happens in the same sign approximately every 164 years. And it's going to be happening in Pisces tomorrow. The last time that Neptune and Jupiter met, they actually met in Aquarius in 2009, December 21st in 2009. And so we're going to be talking about this conjunction because we haven't seen it since I believe it was March or April of 1856. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion, hope, dreams, faith, and Neptune is a planet of illusions, delusions, idealism, fantasy, dreams, and they are both in the sign of Pisces. Right now, today, they are actually only about 10 astronomical minutes apart. We've got Jupiter at 23, let me check my notes. We've got Jupiter at 23 degrees 47 minutes and Neptune at 23 degrees 57 minutes today when I'm making this video. Tomorrow morning they're going to be exact. It's sometime in the morning at 23 degrees 57 minutes. So we're going to be talking about this in this video, and I wanted to go over a little bit of what went down last time that they met in Aquarius in 2009, and also what happened last time that they met in 1856 in Pisces. And so this is kind of a big event because this is the only time during our lifetimes that we're going to see Jupiter and Neptune meet in Pisces, because it only happens every 164 years. They meet every 12 to 13 years in a sign, but this is the only time we're going to see it in our lifetime in Pisces. Now, Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. Before we discovered Neptune, Jupiter was the ruler of Pisces. So we've got both modern and ancient rulers in the same sign of Pisces meeting tomorrow. Like I said, we are basically in a conjunction right now. It's only 10 minutes apart here. And we've been feeling this for the first week or so, in the last week or so, and we're going to continue to feel this energy playing out in the background really for the next 7 to 10 days or so. And then this conjunction is starting a whole cycle that we will be feeling for the next 12 to 13 years until Neptune and Jupiter meet again in the next sign of Aries. So, okay, so what does this mean? Well, what's really interesting about this to me, so obviously I wasn't around in 1856 when Jupiter and Neptune met in Pisces the last time. And so I've been doing some studying about what was going on then. And then I've also been doing some studying about just Pisces in general, Neptune in general, Jupiter in general, just to kind of get an overview of what this combination of energies, is going to mean for us going forward. And what cycle are we ending and what cycle are we beginning? So in the grand cycle, the 164-year cycle, when Jupiter and Neptune met back in 1856, just to note what was going on then. So in 1856, we had Bleeding Kansas here in the USA, which is where there was several different, murders and like battles and all sorts of, there's a tree blowing in the wind. All sorts of electoral fraud, raids, assaults and murders that were going on in the territory of Kansas, all around slavery, pro-slavery, anti-slavery, because Kansas had been put into the United States as a free state, but then there was a lot of feuds going on and everything all around the issue of slavery. And so there was a huge divide going on during that time between people who were anti-slavery and people who were pro-slavery. So if we extrapolate that into today's time, we have definitely dualities going on right now. We have people who are thinking one way and people who are thinking the opposite way, and many different fields of thought here going on today. You can fill in the blanks. Okay, I don't want to get if I bring up too many of the controversies here on YouTube, then I could get flagged or whatever. So you just fill in the blanks. We've got a lot of divisiveness going on in our world today, and it's been going on for a while. Neptune has been in Pisces for the last like 10 years or something like that already. I'd have to look back in the ephemeris to see exactly when it came into Pisces. And so we've already been feeling this duality and this divisiveness that's been happening in our world, okay? So it'll be interesting to see what happens when Neptune goes into Aries and how those energies change. So the other thing that was happening back during the time when Neptune was in Pisces before, and I've got it in my book here, I wanted to go over it here. So Neptune was in Pisces in the past from approximately 1847 until 1861. So something else that was happening in history during that time was there was a lot of psychics that came out, mediums that came out, hypnotism started to come to the fore. Back in 1856, Sigmund Freud was born in 1856, among other, you know, psychiatrists, psychologists, or whatever. And there was, you know, a big divide, not only, you know, about anti and pro-slavery was going on, but there was also a big divide in the spiritual and psychological community in terms of, you know, people who were going into hypnosis and mediumship and psychic stuff and mysticism, and people who were going into psychology and all of, you know, the different branches of basically looking at the mind and like, why are we here and everything. And so there was a lot of an influx of people who had that Piscean ability to connect with the spiritual world and connect with psychology. During that time when Neptune was in Pisces, we saw all of those things, but we also saw, and they were all real, like there was real mediums, real psychics, you know, obviously real psychologists and real hypnotists, but there was also frauds. So there were people who were, you know, doing that whole Neptunian thing of the illusion, and they were not real mediums, not real psychics, not real hypnotists, and they were, you know, pulling, they were, you know, committing trickery, and they were a bunch of frauds during that time as well. So something that is really interesting that I think that we're going to see with this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces is I've already noticed that there's been a big influx of psychic people, medium people, you know, mediums, tarot readers, astrologers, and, you know, all sorts of people that are coming out. Like, we see them all the time on YouTube. Hello, what am I doing here, right? So anyway, but then there's also people who aren't very good, or they're fraudulent, or whatever. I mean, there's people who are connecting with, you know, there's Abraham Hicks, she's connecting with Abraham, and people connecting to spirits or to entities that are in the spirit realm or in a different dimension. We've got our spirit guides. There's been a lot of talk about all of that stuff over the last 10 years, and it's really, really been coming to the fore. And I think that when we see tomorrow, you know, during this conjunction, we're going to see an explosion of even more of that, because Jupiter is about expansion. So I think that we're going to have an influx of even more psychics, mediums, astrologers, tarot readers, mystics, hypnotists, or Reiki practitioners. There's going to be even more people who are interested in that. We're going to see even more of them come out. We might also get some famous people born during this time who are going to have this Neptune and Jupiter conjunction in Pisces in their natal chart, and that's going to actually give them these psychic gifts that they're going to use in their lives. So I think that we're going to see a huge influx of that kind of energy. Something else that we're going to see is, because Jupiter's all about expansion and really expanding your whole world view and your consciousness, with Pisces expanding your consciousness, with the Neptunian thing, we're going to see some more fraudulent types of things come out, some obfuscation come out. We're going to see more delusions and illusions, and we're gonna see a lot more propaganda come out during this time. Also, people are going to question, with Jupiter, it's about your belief systems as well, okay? Whoa, what the hell's on my hat? Okay, we got a creepy crawly little friend here. Just scared the bejesus out of me. Okay. Doing stuff in the woods. Okay, just a second. Okay, it won't come off my hat. Woo! Oh, scared me. Okay, well, we're gonna put this back on in case anything else drops in my head, because there are these really big spiders out here too, and yeah, so we're gonna keep the hat on. Okay, so where was I? All right, so not only are we gonna see an influx of people come out of the woodworks or whatever, come out of the sea, come out of the ocean, come out of the depths of the ocean, who are gonna be mystics and psychics and tarot readers, more astrologers, more Reiki practitioners. A lot of people are going to be interested in this right now. We're going to see a big influx of that. Not only are we going to see that, and those people are going to be looking for the truth. They're going to be honest people, but we're also going to see a lot of people who are not honest people, who are fraudulent, who might be using those tactics to get what they want or whatever, or to pull some sort of illusion over people's faces, trick people, and we're gonna see fakes out there as well. Okay, now I was getting, before the caterpillar fell in my hat, I was getting into the, what was I talking about? Oh man. All right, I remember now. Okay, because Jupiter has to do with your belief systems, one of the things that's going to be happening during this conjunction, and may have already been feeling it, is that people are going to start questioning their belief systems. They, because the whole Piscean, because Pisces is so sensitive to the energies and very empathetic, and very in tune with just the whole consciousness that we've got going on here, the collective subconsciousness. Pisces has the ability to really tune into that. And with the Jupiter Pisces, Neptune Pisces going on, there's going to be two things going on, okay? Because Pisces is ruled, the symbol for Pisces is the two half circles with the horizon line conjoining them. Okay, so that's two separate worlds that are conjoined by this line of horizon there. I want to read to you guys about Pisces in just a minute. But so what that represents is that there's two different ways, that and it's also represented by the fish that are swimming in two different directions in the constellation. If you look at the constellation of Pisces, it's like one fish over here and one fish over there, and they're swimming in two different directions. And so there's a divisiveness that happens with Pisces. And so there's not only a divisiveness outside of yourself, in the collective subconscious, but there's a divisiveness going on sometimes internally with the Piscean energy, because Pisces is so compassionate and can really see and understand, is very understanding, can really see things from all different points of view, that a lot of times the Pisces energy can be accepting and understanding of both points of view, even if they conflict. And so one of the things that we're going to see here during this time, and that's going to get initiated here with this conjunction that we're in, is we've got some people are going to wake up. Some people are going to see behind the curtain of Neptune. They're going to see behind the waterfall and see what's happening, or they're going to see what's behind the curtain in Oz, and they're going to see the real Oz. And they're going to start questioning if everything is like the Wizard of Oz in their life. Does everything have some little old dude back there like pulling the strings and you know, turning the knobs and levers and stuff like that to produce this big fancy illusion that isn't actually real. That's just some sort of, you know, fantasy world. And behind the curtain is reality, and they're gonna start actually seeing through that mask, through that illusion. Okay, that's gonna be one group of people. They're gonna wake up to this sort of weird illusion or matrix or hologram or something, you know, whatever you want to call it, you know, that is not real. That's the fake world. And they're going to see what's real, what the reality, and they're going to wake up to that. That's going to be one group of people that are going to be reacting to this Jupiter, Neptune, Piscean energy. Then on the other side, you're going to have people who may get a glimpse of that, but they don't want to see it. So other, you know, a shadow side of Pisces is escapism, wanting to drown out your sorrows, wanting to escape into addiction or alcoholism or, you know, any sort of codependent or addictive, escapist type of thing. So there's going to be a whole group of other people who don't want to see reality, and they want to keep the curtain up. They want to still believe in Oz, and they don't want to see what's behind the curtain or what's behind the great and powerful Oz, right? They are going to stay, you know, hooked into the boob tube. They're going to stay hooked onto their video games, or maybe it's, I mean, they could escape into music, or it could be into addictive substances, alcohol, drugs, you know, whatever, or sex, you know, anything that can take their mind off of the reality so that they can stay in the fantasy world and they don't have to wake up to the real world. So we're going to see the split there, and that's going to be a split in the collective subconscious that we're all going to feel and we're all going to notice on some level. I mean, you know, unless we're in the escapist group, we may not notice it because we might just be trying to numb ourselves too much to whatever is happening in our, you know, in our world. And so we're going to see this on a big world scale because these are outer planets. Unless this conjunction is actually making an aspect with something in your natal chart that is hitting one of your personal planets, you know, the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars. If it's hitting one of those, then you're going to be feeling this conjunction a lot more deeply and a lot more acutely in whatever area that planet in your natal chart is and where that rolls out in your chart, okay? But if it's not making an exact conjunction, or an exact aspect, I mean, to your natal chart, then you're going to see this in the grand scheme of things. And so, like I said, this is starting another 12 to 13 year cycle. So let's talk about what was happening last time Jupiter and Neptune met in Aquarius in 2009, because it's a little bit easier to relate to, because obviously none of us were alive in 1856, the last time that Jupiter and Neptune conjuncted in Pisces, right? Okay, so like bugs are getting me or something. I'm not really sure. Ah! It's just like another big caterpillar thingy. Like on me. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to make this, I'm just gonna have to wrap this up a little bit because caterpillars are falling on me. Okay, so what was happening, and it's also really hot, so we're gonna get a little bit cooler. Okay, so hopefully this is not like in my shirt. All right. Okay, and there's some sort of thing flying around my head. Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna cut this part out or not. Okay, so the last time that Jupiter and Neptune met was back in 2009 in Aquarius, okay? And something else that was interesting during that time was that Saturn was in Libra. Right now, Saturn is in Aquarius. So that also is going to be affecting this conjunction in terms of what we're going to be focusing on for the next 12 to 13 years. in terms of the cyclical nature of what's being started here and what's being closed out. Okay, so back in 2009, when Jupiter and Neptune met in Aquarius, so Aquarius is all about humanity, it's all about technology, it's all about our social groups. And so I really feel like that, and since the Saturn was in Libra, which is all about relationships and partnerships and whatnot, I really feel like that 2009 conjunction really kind of launched the whole social media thing. I mean, I know that Facebook was only a few years old at that point. We really got started into the whole social media thing, which really fits Neptune and Jupiter in Aquarius. Socializing with our social groups and connecting with humanity, our humanitarian groups, our larger groups, in a way that we'd never been able to do it before. We were using technology, which is Aquarius. We were using technology to connect with those larger social groups. And it was really expansive. I mean, all of a sudden it was just like, boom, we were able to connect with all our friends and family and larger social groups that we hadn't been able to connect on such a, we hadn't been able to connect with as well and as easily before. Even though, we were online, we were doing things or whatever, the social media platforms, I mean, they just really, really blew up and really blew up in 2009. I remember, that was a really big year, and a little bit before, but it was huge. So, and ever since then, it's just like, it has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger over the last 13 years, right? Social media is a huge thing. I really feel like that was that's one of the main focuses from what I've observed anyway, in terms of the Jupiter-Neptune in Aquarius conjunction. And then also during the last 13 years with the Saturn in Libra, you may have really felt like relationships were a really big focus for you in your life, and also online relationships as well. So now we have Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. Pisces is more, I want to read you guys about Pisces. Pisces is more about connecting with the divine. It's more about compassion. It's more about understanding. It's more about being empathetic with people and being sensitive, psychic, mediumistic, connecting with past lives, connecting with ancestors, and also really getting into our artistic side as well. So I really feel like we're going, like I said before, we're gonna see a huge influx, an even bigger influx than what we've seen so far over the past 10 years or so. I think we're gonna see an even bigger influx of these kinds of things come to the fore. And now we have Saturn in Aquarius, okay, which is our humanitarian groups, our social groups, it's our innovative nature. It's where we are, where our genius lies in our charts. It's where we are distinct and special and creative in an innovative, technological way, and it's expansive. But with Saturn there, it is a restriction on our ability to innovate. It's a restriction on our social groups. It's a restriction on technology. It's a restriction on the genius within, and limitations. And we have been feeling limitations and restrictions and a sense of pressure on our social groups, on our social media platforms, on how we're able to innovate and bring things out. We've got all these different limitations and restrictions for resources that come from all over the globe. And so we've been feeling that a lot, and we've also been feeling that pressure that Saturn puts on our social structure, and also our there's a need to be responsible when it comes to the greater good or humanity as a whole. Anyway, so I wanted to read to you guys what Pisces is all about here in my book. And this is one of my resources. This is astrology Arcane Astrology and Our Astrology, the Divine Science by Marcia Moore and Mark Douglas. This is an old book. Copyrighted in okay, they did the copyright in this book in Roman numerals, so it's copyrighted in MCMLXXI, whatever that is. Anyway, it's like this, it's like 1971 or something like that. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to read, what I find interesting in this book is when they describe the astrological signs and their symbols and the symbology behind that, which I think is really interesting and also gives you a deeper understanding of the signs. And so I wanted to read just about Pisces. We have so much happening in Pisces right now with Neptune and Jupiter conjunction, and we also have Venus in Pisces as well, and pretty soon we're going to have Mars coming into this space as well. So we just have a lot of energy in this sign right now, and I want to read this to you guys. Now this will just take a minute. It's just about 1 page long, and forgive me if I don't pronounce everything correctly. Okay. Pisces, the fishes, mutable water, February 20th through March 20th. The sign Pisces is frequently portrayed by two fishes tied together, but swimming in opposite directions. This fish's circle describes the contradictory nature of the unevolved Piscean, whose tendency to work against himself has sometimes caused him to be described as a poor fish or a fish out of water. He may be confused or deceptive, in which case people will suspect that there is something fishy about him. But the two fishes may also complement each other, as in the yin-yang symbol of the ancient Chinese. The enlightened Piscean understands intuitively how to create a meaningful synthesis out of apparent contradictions. The fish is a symbol of Christ. Images of fishes were scratched in the sand by the early Christians as identifying marks because the Greek initials ICHTHUS, standing for Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior, made an acronym that spelled fish. Scholars who are knowledgeable in the field of astrology believe that this symbol was adopted because the vernal equinox was moving into the sign of the fishes, ushering in the Piscean age. Although some of his disciples were lowly fishermen, Jesus promised to make them fishers of men if they would renounce the world and follow him. He also fed the multitude with loaves and fishes, the loaves representing the opposite sign of the Virgin with her sheaf of wheat. That's Virgo. Like the disciples, Pisceans are capable of renouncing their material goods for the sake of spiritual gain. They hold fast to the faith that they will be replenished by some mysterious act of grace, and surprisingly often they are. The two semicircles have also been likened to crescent moons, representing real and imaginary worlds, even as the moon on the sea mirrors its counterpart in the sky. Pisceans are intrigued with illusions which may take the form of imaginative creations or escapist fantasies. The more dynamic exponents of this sign are drawn to the arts and enterprises connected with pleasure and entertainment. Their less realistic brethren succumb to a variety of delusions referring to face facts and withdrawing into a private world of fantasy, addiction, or obsession. A vivid sense of the dramatic lures many Pisceans into the theater and show business. Pisces rules the feet, and literally or figuratively, the dancing feet of the elusive Piscean scarcely touch the earth. This sign also rules the astral body, whose existence has been denied by science, but which clairvoyants register in terms of shifting color tones surrounding the physical form. Pisces completes the round of the zodiac. The two sides of its glyph can be recombined to form a circle, as complementary halves of life are placed back to back and linked by the line of the horizon. In this manner, opposing aspects of the self pull away from each other, yet are deliberately conjoined. While Aquarius produces fission, which carries over into the duality of Pisces, members of this final sign yearn for fusion. Pisceans must realize, however, that this is a fusion which occurs in consciousness, even while the external world remains divided as before. Every cycle of existence ends in a state of duality, showing both the positive and negative results of all that has gone before. In Pisces, sign of redemption or dissolution, the spiritualized personality draws apart from the waste materials left behind. Thus, the energies of the sign are polarized into a success-failure situation. Ultimately, however, the tie that binds the fishes together must resolve the dualism of counterpoised opposites. The final consummation of the work of the 12 signs does not necessitate the rejection of one or the other aspect of existence. Instead, it reintegrates them into a more meaningful unity. It is the whole which transcends its parts, having assimilated the essence of all the experiences undergone by the evolving soul through successive stages of the zodiacal round. So something that this said that I want to touch on real quick before we get off here is where it said Pisceans are capable of renouncing their material goods for the sake of spiritual gain. I think that we're going to see that. I think that we're going to see some people give up their drive to gain material possessions in exchange of some sort of spiritual gain. I'm not sure how exactly that's going to play out, but I think that we're going to see that. And when we look back in retrospect, we're going to see that. So thank you so much for sticking around. This is going to be a really amazing conjunction, one that we're going to be feeling for the next 12 to 13 years as it goes through its cycle. And so I would love to know what is happening for you in your life. Is this conjunction aspecting a part of your natal chart? Please leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. And if you found this interesting, you know what to do. Hit that like, thumbs uppy thingy. And if you would like to subscribe, I would really appreciate that. It helps out my channel. Hit the subscribe button wherever it is. And also, I guess, hit that notification bell for being notified of new videos. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, evening, morning, night, whatever it is for you, and I'll see you guys next time.